Welcome back to the Thrive Podcast. The season, it's finally here, and I couldn't be more fired up. It's going to be a real test for me, but I wouldn't want it any other way. Before I head out into the wilderness, I wanted to release a live on location episode that I did with Corey Jacobson. It was a real honor to sit down with Corey. He is one of the best elk hunters and arguably the world's best elk caller. Corey has forgotten more about elk hunting than I will ever know. Every time I get to chat with him, I walk away with some fantastic elk nuggets, and this conversation was no exception. This episode is full of practical insight, honest perspective, some killer takeaways, and what really matters during an elk hunt. Good luck with your season this year. My upcoming Thrive episodes, they'll be coming to you live from the field. Let's get to it. All right, folks, welcome back to the Thrive Podcast. So we're on site at Red Lodge, and we're at the PEAX booth. You know, they talked me into doing these live, go out in the public and actually see people, which Corey tries to avoid people probably more than I do. But so my very first guest is appropriately Corey Jacobson. We got to corner him early because he's kind of a rock star at these things. He's a legend, and he's hard to pin down, so we got to start with him early.
What you mean is I go and hide behind the booth the rest of the day.
Yeah, that's right. You know, I always tell everyone, Corey, that I'm a legend in my own mind. Right?
That's right.
So I've been wanting to talk to Corey about this subject for a while, and he asked me what we were going to talk about, and I know you all want to talk about elk calling, which there's nobody better. I know you want to talk shed hunting, which he's addicted, but we're not. We're gonna.
We can't.
Well, we could squeeze it in. Right. I know you're going to have to, right? But I want to talk to him about something that probably he's never talked about. Corey started ELK101 in the University of Elk Hunting, and I took it. Man, I don't even know how long ago. I think the first year it came out.
2016, probably.
Yeah. Well, that was the year I moved to Montana, so that's when I took it. And I just said, I got to see this. You know, I had been hunting elk for probably 25 years at the time. This would be my 36th year, Corey. So at the time, 25 years in. And I thought I knew everything, you know, that I needed to know. Everybody does, right? Guys are the worst, too.
Totally.
Everybody thinks they know it all, right? You know, I knew a few things that you did, but then I'm like, wow, okay. What I want to talk about today is the importance of continuing education in hunting.
Yeah.
Because I have found over the years that more people think they know what they don't know. Corey, I'm going to ask you this. So in my 30s, back in those days, I wouldn't have shared one single thing. It was like, I felt like it was secret. Like,
not only wouldn't you share, but you had no desire to learn from someone else either.
No, none.
Yeah.
What I want to get across today in this show today is how important it is, at least I think it is, that you don't only focus on your shooting. You don't only focus on your gear or even your calling.
Yep.
That you become a student of the game. The reason I wanted to talk to him about it was Corey was a pioneer with ELK101. And I want to just ask you, like, when you decided to do it, I want to see if you match me. Like, so he has ELK101 and I have Treeline Academy. To be honest, they're very complimentary because I do not get into how to hunt elk.
Right.
I've never done it. I don't want to get into it because I still feel like I'm a student. I think I'm pretty good at e-scouting.
And I was just going to say,
stay in your lane, right?
Well, no, and it is. It's like, for me, it's elk calling. It's aggressive hunting during the rut. I don't get into post-rut hunting. I don't get into a whole bunch of firearms rifle hunting because, yeah, I do it, and I can do it successfully, but it's not my lane.
I mean, it's not like you couldn't contribute to it, but I feel like you just have so much more to contribute than the other things that you specialize in. So anyway, what I want to ask is, what was your thought process behind doing it? What would you do differently if you had to do it over again? Kind of, what was your whole thing? Because you were the first person to ever, that I know of, to have a paid education platform for people to take.
In the hunting, in the outdoor, yeah. You know, and so for me, it started, my dad had a call company. He was an outfitter. So I was somewhat immersed in what you'd call the industry, you know. So I knew people at archery companies, and I got connected with the store manager at Cabela's, and they said, hey, you're a good elk caller. You want to come in and do an elk calling seminar? And I said, I've done elk calling seminars. Yes, we can. What do you have in mind? And he said, well, I want to do like a 2-night, 6 hours. So I'm thinking I usually do a 30 to 45 minute seminar, and it is so basic. It's, here's how you make a couple elk sounds. Here's the sounds I use to call in elk. Here's what triggers an elk to come in. And then you got 15 minutes for Q&A and you're done.
Yeah.
And so I started thinking, 6 hours, what am I going to talk about? And so I did, what you said at the beginning was so important. It's not about gear. It's not about weapon. It's not about physical conditioning. It's about every one of those things.
Yeah.
And so in that I think I had 8 topics, and I said, it does you no good to run to the top of the mountain and miss a shot at an elk at 30 yards. It does you no good to shoot an elk at 100 yards if you can't get to the top of the mountain. It does you no good to be a world champion elk caller if you call an elk in and miss it. So it's important to bring all of these aspects together. In that first class I did at Cabela's, I had a pie chart. And it literally was, they were even sized pieces of pie, but I'm like, every one of these pieces of pie is important. And so that was my start into it. And then from there, people were there were, I don't know, 60 people at the first class. And every one of them emailed me afterwards with questions. What do I do this? What boots do you use? How many pounds should I be shooting? What broadhead? And I thought, people have questions.
Yeah.
From there, that's kind of where ELK101 started. It started with entertainment, education, all of that. But as it grew, I realized it's more than a job, it's a responsibility. And we have a responsibility to help people who want to learn, but also teach them the importance of why hunting is important as a management tool.
When I moved to Montana, that's when I started realizing I turned 50 when I moved here. So I'm going to be 60 this hunting season. Ugh. But when I turned 50, 27th, 28 years of elk hunting, I'm coming from Missouri, and I'm spending 40 days a year, 50 days a year hunting elk, and it's in spots I've never seen before. Or I had taken your class, and I saw the value there, and I'm like, I got some stuff to contribute. So I kind of really patterned off a lot of what you did, and but I just stayed in my lane. Totally. I really just stayed strictly to technology and how to leverage that technology to develop a hunt plan, right? And so the reality was, I came to the conclusion that, I love backcountry hunting. It's the one thing probably my whole life that I've been, I played rugby for a lot of years and I retired and went away from it. I did triathlons 15 years, got done and kind of went away with it. And it was a great point of my life, but when it was over kind of thing, but not hunting. Nope. It's the one thing, that so I just wanted to give back to it as well. But I also wanted to build it big. I wanted to do like you did. I wanted to put a lot of work into it. And so I felt like, okay, I'm going to put all this work into it. I'm going to continue to update it. I'm going to pay for a platform that I can distribute it on. So I'm going to have to charge for this service. And I'm sure you've gotten it. There's a few people, like every now and then I get an email about how I'm charging for this or charging for that, right?
Well, the thing people always say, all that information's already free out on YouTube, or all that information's already free on the internet. And
of course
right.
It is. If you want to spin and scour but it's not organized like that, and it's not put together like that. It's
not put together in a way that will help you build a plan.
That's right. You know Cody Rich from Rich Outdoors, right? So he told me one time, he goes, Mark, there's no such thing as new information. In any course, there's no such thing. The best people at it are the ones that can repackage it and present it in a way that people can get the maximum value out of it.
And I think that there are a lot of people, I tell people all the time, there are a lot of people that are way better elk hunters than I am. I'm hands down.
Same.
Hands down. I wouldn't argue that. There are way better elk hunters than me. I think what sets me apart is I have a degree in engineering. And I learned to break things down into their simplest form.
Yeah.
And once you can do that, people can then absorb it. There's a lot of people that will run circles around me in hunting, even in elk calling. They just they can't explain what they know. They know it and they can replicate it, but they can't give it to someone else.
Well, that's what I told, I've talked to Ryan. Ryan, I hate to throw Ryan under the bus, but he would, if he was sitting here, I know he would agree with me. So there's not many guys that have the skill that he has. There's no doubt, right?
Yep.
But the dude's a terrible teacher. He doesn't like doing it. Yeah. He doesn't even like going in public. So he puts these summits together, he does, right? He rarely speaks at his own summit. And everybody wants to hear from him and everybody wants to. But what's funny about Ryan is we've done a couple courses together. When I get him in a room and he kind of forgets about the camera and we just start talking, oh man, it just starts flowing out, right? I've had to tease it out of him a different way, right? So, but you just have this natural ability to educate. You're slow, you take your time, you're very thorough. And I learned, because I'm not that way. I'm a fast talker. I assume people know a bunch of things that they don't know. Well, like for example, Corey, I built this e-scouting elk course, right? And within the first month, I started getting emails like, okay, Mark, when you say benches and you say ridges, what are you talking about? I'm like, holy crap. I totally missed the boat. I assumed that if you were elk hunting, you knew what a topo map was, right? Well, I'm not saying everybody, but there was a large number of people that did not even understand some of the basic things. So if I made any mistakes, I didn't even start back at the elementary level even. But what I found too was, Corey, I don't know if you found this too, is when you were putting your course together, did you think that, everybody knows this. I don't know if this is Are people
No.
even going to bond to this?
Yeah, because,
Did you have doubts
for so
about
many
it?
years, I got so many questions from people. A lot of them were back east. Like, I'm going to my first hunt in Colorado. What do I do? And literally that was where they were starting. I don't even know where to start. And so I really designed the course for the absolute novice. But we walked through it in a way that somebody that had elk hunted for 20 years
Dude, there's a lot of nuggets
through,
in
and
there.
they're like, yeah. Oh, here's something that interests me. So I broke it into sections where it was really easy to identify. This is for somebody that's never elk hunted before. This is for me. There's advanced calling tactics and things like that. So I absolutely created it for somebody who had never elk hunted before, also knowing that there are other people out there who are hungry for information, who want to better themselves, and who might be looking for a nugget. And so we put it in a way that they didn't have to sift through all of this stuff to find a hidden sentence that...
When I took your course, I was like, man, you did a better job than I did in the beginning. But when I first started, I didn't have, let's be honest, nobody knew who Mark Livesay was in 2016. I can tell you that. I had no Instagram. I didn't even have Instagram. I was anti-social media. I just hunted and I just loved it. And that's it. I didn't even take photos. Like, I wish I got no B-roll to use anymore. I just didn't do anything.
Yep.
I didn't understand the value of it. I didn't realize I would need it nowadays, right? When I started putting together, what got me going was I own an event company back in Missouri. We produce big events like this, not archery things, but marathons, triathlons, different things. Well, COVID hit and it shut everything, as everybody knows, right? The government basically shut me down. So I'm like, well, I've been thinking about doing this course. This is a good time to do it. But I didn't have the feedback you had. So when I started putting it on paper, I'm like, everybody knows this already. Like Google Earth, all the things I know about Google Earth. I thought everybody just knew it, but man, I was shocked.
Yeah.
So when OnX came out, and I'm a huge fan of OnX, I'm a huge fan of all the apps, guys. If you've listened to me at all, I'm a tool user. I do not subscribe to the one tool in the toolbox theory, right? I say use the right tool for the right job. And most of the time, maybe it's OnX, but CalTopo, Gaia GPS, Spartan, even with their LiDAR, all these different tools are very useful for different things. I thought everybody knew this stuff. And I told my wife, I said, I'm going to spend all this time and nobody's going to buy a single course. And I was blown away because when I launched that thing and the questions I started getting were like, what do you mean by this? And what do you mean by that? I'm like, oh, I should have started a couple of steps
There's a whole nother
back.
layer before this I need to go back.
So I'm not saying it's deep. I'm just saying I just made some assumptions and they were wrong. Because I wasn't in the industry, I didn't have a lot of feedback at that point. Yeah. All I had, honestly, you were the only game in town. And you covered e-scouting in your course, but you kind of got people started.
Yeah, it was a very basic, and again, staying in my lane. I didn't know e-scouting in depth. I knew how to use Google Earth and how to couple it with OnX and how to, find benches and north faces and some of the, we talk about what do elk need. They need feed, they need water, they need bedding. And you can find that on Google Earth with a very basic search. And so I just triangulated those things, and that was about as deep as I got in e-scouting.
Well, but it gave me what I'm just want to say. I haven't had a chance to talk to you much, and I just want to say thank you for doing that, because you really, if it wouldn't have been for you pioneering it, I wouldn't have tried it.
Well,
I would never have even attempted it. So I wanted to ask one more thing.
Yeah.
So when you launched it, you don't need to tell me the secrets of you, but I thought you were using Shopify, right?
No, not you weren't. I wish I was.
The point I'm trying to make is there were no platforms.
Oh.
You were trying to make a website
you want to know what we did?
realm work with a password-protected website at the time, right?
It was nasty. Like, John Gabriel helped me set it up.
Oh, John. Okay.
So WordPress was the very basic. And you could get any plugin you wanted for WordPress. We could barely keep the website running because we had so many plugins, because we had to have password protected area. We had to have content in front of the paywall. We had to have, they couldn't copy and paste. We didn't want it. We wanted it to be copyright protected. Right. All of these things. And pretty soon you get 10,000 people on the website at the same time, and it's not spinning because all these different apps are trying to load. And we crashed. We finally had to go to a commercial web platform just to be able to host it.
Well,
so
I was wondering about that because you were even before. Well, now there's all kinds of these education platforms.
Oh, you can just dump the content into it.
Thinkific, Learn, Teachables, all these things. But when you did it there was nothing.
No.
So I had a huge benefit in that. I used Thinkific to start, and it works great. It lets the user track where they're at and those kinds of things, which you didn't have, right?
No, so that's another plugin. We had to have a plugin to be able to go back and basically create a table of contents. And so there was a plugin for every little thing.
And all those plugins need updates like every 5 minutes.
And they all take bandwidth when you get in there and they start spinning to try to run the course.
That's funny. So my background, so you're an engineer. It's funny how we end up in the same place. My background's IT. So my first version of the course, I taught people how to build the KML files to put into Google Earth. I showed people what websites to go to and how to do the shape files, and I was getting overwhelmed. Everybody's like, what are you talking about with shape files, and what's this, and what's this compressed version? And I'm like, oh my. So Ryan Lampers is the one that said, he goes, Mark, just build the toolkits and make it part of the course. So I'm like, okay. So I built those toolkits, and that's been probably one of my biggest successes up to this point, is because those toolkits are like, even the most advanced hunters, they want the tools.
Yeah.
So basically it turns Google Earth into OnX. And everybody's like, well, why would you do that? Guys, OnX is great. I wanted to ask you this. You still, to this day, I know you use Google Earth quite a bit.
I do.
The image quality is good. Being able to look at the historical imagery, there's just reasons to use it.
And I would say I use OnX 90% of the time, but I absolutely open Google Earth and I'll spin
side by side or whatever, right?
And the imagery is different. I wouldn't say it's necessarily better one way or another, but you can see different things in the different imagery.
Different views, different ages, different years, different whatever.
I don't have a background in marketing, so an online course, it's a digital product. I had no idea. So I actually read a book, and I'm pretty sure that Jason Hairston with Kuyu read the same book. Literally, when he launched Kuyu, it was launched by Jeff Walker. And I read it and I followed it to a T. And they're like, you have to involve people in the process. So as I'm going, I'm sending out these mass emails saying, what's your biggest frustration in elk hunting? What's the one thing that you're missing? And I did massive surveys, survey after survey after survey, getting where's your weakness? Where's your strength? What separates people who are successful from those who aren't? And I literally built the course around those problems that they brought to me. And then you go back to them and you say, here's the solution. People are excited to check it out. And there's always going to be, I got so many people up front that are like, you're going to ruin hunting.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to kill elk now. Success rates are going to go to 90% because you're teaching everybody how to do it. I don't believe that.
I've heard that too.
I really think the exact success rates haven't changed. And the reason why, the same percentage of people are willing to put in the work.
That's right.
That percentage hasn't changed. There are people that are going to go through the course. Every course, they've got 10 courses out there. They're going to show up September and they're not going to put in the work because it's just not their character. That's not how they operate.
Think about OnX. When OnX came out, everybody said there's going to be no elk left.
Yeah.
Because there's no place they can go. Well, I'm getting ready to do a show on this, Corey. I've been doing research, going back and looking. Believe this or not, in most DIY states that have significant public lands, the actual success rate has gone down.
And there's two sides to that coin. There's definitely more people out there. And people say, Corey Jacobson and Randy Newberg have ruined hunting in the West. We get that all the time.
Yeah.
We didn't start COVID. COVID brought a whole new batch of people in. We might have given them tools.
I'm sure people want to say you did.
Oh, totally. Yeah. I'm sure we'd get blamed for that too. But at the end of the day, we have to build more people who are passionate about hunting. Look right now, the public land bill. If we didn't have many passionate people.
I was just getting ready to say, without you guys' platforms,
and
without Randy being able to reach as many and you guys doing what you're doing, I don't know that we'd have turned that bill around because nobody would have known about it if there would not have been the people who were that trust your information.
But also, even 10 years ago, we did not have passionate hunters. We had hunters who sat on the fence and they waited till something got taken away and then they went on social media and complained about it.
Yeah.
And I was a little worried, just a couple of weeks ago, I was seeing all of these posts getting shared, but nobody was calling.
Yeah.
People are sending some form emails. We have to call. And when we got that message out to make the call the senator, you have 2 senators in your state, call them, it flooded and it turned the tide. And it's still, we're in the middle of it right now. We're still trying to turn it. But that is where my heart really lied in the beginning was, if we want to protect this, we have to have more bodies involved. We have to have more people passionate about elk and about hunting to be able to protect it. And Will Primos summed it up. We did a film called The Linguist several years ago, and I got to sit with Will in his home, and he said, if you teach somebody to love something, they're going to protect it. And that was that is my motto. That is my tagline. That is my mantra that I'm going to go by because that's what I want. And it started with my kids. I want my kids to love this so that they have an opportunity to do it. But I have 3 kids. Them on their own, they're not going to be able to protect this. We need more people helping protect it. Does that mean there's going to be more people at the trailhead.
You know what? But would you rather share the elk woods with guys that are more competent or guys that are not?
Absolutely.
How many times have you been in a situation where you're on the mountain with dudes and they're not
dropping right down?
They're not paying attention to the wind. They're not, and then all of a sudden nobody's got any elk to hunt.
Yep.
And I've ran into guys where they're stealth. These guys are like, we call each other in and we're like, oh, and then we go and the elk never even knew we were there.
Yep.
They were good. We were good. We paid attention and we went on and we both had success. Here's the thing. When I started hunting, I wish you'd had that ELK101 course out when I started. Dude, I made so many mistakes in the beginning.
I still make mistakes.
Oh, we do.
And I think that's the important part of a course. The course isn't going to teach you the magic bullet. It's not going to make you go out there and be golden and 100% every time. What it's going to do is help you see your mistakes faster and be able to have options to correct those mistakes.
Well, what I want to get into with this is going to be a longer one than we thought, but it's just going to have to be. This is so good. Just about any pursuit of passion, people seek out and pay for furthering their education. You go to college, you become a better, let's say engineering. If you want to learn a new skill in engineering, it's not free. You go to classes, you go to seminars, and I don't know why people don't expect for us to put out, like, my course is 40 hours. Yours is, I don't know, it's 20. I don't even know how many hours of videos in that thing.
It's a lot. It
was a lot of work to do and updating and making some changes and whatever. And then people complain that there's a fee involved. And I'm like, but then they'll go buy a $400 pair of pants.
Yep.
And you're like, oh my gosh, if you would just invest a little bit.
If you realize what the most important gear that you have is, it's right here.
Oh my gosh. And I'm like, I tell people, you tell me if you agree with this or not. I tell people all the time, there's only 2 ways to become a better elk hunter. One, you gain experience. So for example, if Corey gets to hunt 100 days a year and you get to hunt 10, you've got to hunt 10 years for every 1 year of it.
I think
when people
20.
think about that,
I think it's 20 because when you hunt, say 30 days in a row in September, you are going to see and learn things that somebody that takes 10 days in September isn't going to see and learn. And if they hunt that same 10-day period every year, they're not going to see what's going on in the pre-rut. They're not going to see what's going on during this
But
time.
you get my point.
Yeah.
So if you're a guy that can hunt a month a year or 2 weeks or 10 days or whatever, if you could take someone else's knowledge and you could magnify it. So my point is, I'm kind of long-winded on this. You either have to gain experience, but you can only gain experience at a certain pace because what your life situation, your work, your time off, all the things, or you gain it by education.
Yeah.
And the good thing about today, when I started hunting, there was no podcast. There was nothing.
Magazine.
There was a couple forums. There was Eastman's Hunting Journals, Field and Stream, a few. But those articles in there they were great, but they were designed for entertainment. They weren't designed for.
We ran a magazine. That's actually where this came from.
Yeah, I know.
We published a magazine for 4 years. And when I realized print is not the way we would go to shows and beg people for $20 for incredible content, beautiful magazine. I would watch hunters, him and haw. I'll stop back by. And I'm like, it's $20. So that's what scared me when I started the online course. I'm like, hunters aren't going to pay. And I had it valued by 2 different people between $600 and $900. They're like, this is what you should charge for the amount of info, the level of info that's in there.
Compared to other industries.
Yeah. And that's what it came from.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's no way. Hunters won't pay $100 for this. So when we launched it, it was $49.
Was it 40? Well, it was $99, but you could always get a discount to get down to that,
That's
right? I remember, dude, I paid attention to that. I studied it. You were like my study. I studied how you did it all, right? But that's being a good entrepreneur, right? You want to look at success.
Yeah.
And then you want to replicate success.
And whether that's in business, like we're talking entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Or in elk hunting.
That's right.
Or in e-scouting.
Dude,
you want to look at somebody that's done it, that has the experience, that has a track record that says he obviously knows what he's doing. He's not the best, but he knows what he's doing and he wants to help us. And if you have that combination of being able to teach people, having experience and success, and then a love for seeing other people be successful, that's a ticket. If you can put those 3 things together, you can be successful.
Yeah, and the other thing too about it is people's time is you do live events. You got an elk camp coming up pretty quick, right?
Yeah, at the end of July.
2 different weeks back to back.
Two different camps.
2 different camps. Yep. One, these camps they only have so many spots. 2, it's an investment to come.
Oh yeah.
It's expensive to produce. It's expensive to put on. It's expensive. I wouldn't say expensive compared to others, but you got to invest in it.
Yeah.
So the online opportunities give people to do it from anywhere, right? And it's not very for the cost value.
I always said back when gas was, $2 and something a gallon. I was like, it's a tank of gas.
Yeah.
Now,
I remember you saying that.
Now it's less than a tank of gas.
Yeah, it's a quarter tank.
Yeah.
Now. I watch hunters. Now that I'm in this quote industry and I get a chance to talk to hundreds of people all the time, I see so many guys, and I was a victim of this. I use this analogy all the time. They train their strengths all the time. Like good shooters will not stop shooting. Good fitness guys will not get out of the gym. Guys that have a lot of money won't stop buying gear because they love it. It's what they're good at, but they neglect their weaknesses. So when I told you when I used to be a triathlete, I know it's hard to look at me. You're like, now, Livesay, I'm going to show you a picture. I'll put it up when I would do the edit. Believe it or not, I used to be a pretty good triathlete. Well, I was really good cyclist. I mean, just because I was muscular and big. So what did I do? Rode my bike all the time. Yeah. Finally, I got a coach, and my coach is like, dude, get off the bike. Your running is pathetic, and you barely can swim. So you can't even call yourself a triathlete. And when I stopped riding the bike, so I did the Ironmans. That's a lot of Iron. So I judged myself on my Ironman times. When I quit training my strength and started working on my weakness, my Ironman time went down by 2.5 hours because my running I qualified for Boston, and I was 170 pounds, but started running like really well because I quit riding the bike so much. Yeah. I'm not saying don't shoot your bow, and I'm not saying don't work on your fitness. I'm saying train your weaknesses. Yep. And if your weakness is technology, like I get a lot of guys that, Mark, I'd love to do your stuff, but I'm terrible at computers. It's not complicated. This isn't rocket science. Yep. You got to dig in. You got to embrace the suck, and you got to just do it. It's not hard. If you're not good at hunt planning, you're not good at.
And for me, it was calling. And that, calling is my strength.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's what I love to do. Fortunately, in elk hunting, calling is the most exciting part. So people are always intimidated by calling. They always want to get better at it because they want to experience that. And so it's a good fit for my strength with other people's insecurities to be able to share that with them. But yeah, you're absolutely right. You have to understand what your weakness is. And so many people are so focused on what their strength is and trying to develop it and become the best, that they neglect those weak areas. And again, elk hunting comes back to a pie. It's all those pieces, and you've got to look and recognize what all the pieces are that contribute to success. Find the weakest one and work on that.
And you got to be honest with yourself too. You can't. Yeah. I think men have trouble with their ego sometimes. I mean, I'm a victim of it. We kind of, in our mind, we envision ourselves to be better than we are. And now maybe I'm the only guy, but it's really easy to get caught in this self-patting on the back thing. Like, I'm running into elk and I'm killing an elk I'm above the average.
Yeah.
Guys, the average success rate is 6%. DIY public land with a bow, it's pretty dismal. And I don't want to kill an elk 1 out of 20 years. I don't. Do you?
That was my whole thing is average is 10%. I just, round to 10.
Whatever, 11%,
yeah. It was 6%.
You can argue
say
that.
It's 10%. That means the average elk hunter kills an elk once every 10 years, or 1 out of 10 elk hunters kills an elk.
Yeah.
That's not good enough for me.
No.
And it doesn't have to be good enough for anybody else. Nobody has to settle for average. The only reason that there are averages is because there are people who put in the average amount of effort.
Or less.
And
a lot of guys want to turn the needle, and they think that, well, if I just was a better shot. I say this all the time. You guys, you can't kill an elk if you can't find an elk. And the same thing, you can't kill an elk at the top of the mountain if you can't get to the top of the mountain. It all adds up.
Yep.
And I like your pie chart.
Elk if you don't understand what triggers an elk to come into calls.
You can't just go out there and just start blowing your call because
elk
you
don't
can
just,
you can be the best caller in the world. And if you're not using the right call at the right time and you make the wrong call at the wrong time.
Yep. So I have elk every single day during elk season that turn and leave for my calls. And I practice my calling a lot.
Yeah.
And they still don't come into it.
Dude, that's why we love it. It's not a guarantee. It's not a slam dunk.
Never.
And you're never going to be 100%. I mean, there's a few guys that are pretty dang close to 100%. But so when you look at that 10%, Corey, you got to remember what you're talking about here. It's not really 10%.
No.
Because you've got the Ryan Lampers, the Corey Jacobsons. You got all these guys that are in that 10%. So once those guys, when you take those guys out of the equation, the average dude's even way lower.
Yep.
Anyway, that was great conversation.
And you talk about, ego and guys are the worst.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I've had people literally come up to my face and say, "You really think that the average hunter, the regular guy who lives in Montana or lives in Idaho needs what you're selling?" And it's like, if you don't need it, I'm not begging you to buy it. But I'll tell you one thing, there are tens of thousands of elk hunters out there who want to get better, and they're paying $49 to
Yeah.
get better.
Yeah.
And it's a small investment. When we, like you talked, $400 pair of pants, $1,000, $1,500 bow,
Yeah.
spend $50, spend $100, spend $400 and get 6 different courses and pick out the pieces that apply to you.
Dude, and that's what I'm saying. I mean, I've never said it. I never would say it. It's not the end all. It's a niche.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of guys go into hunts underprepared. Like they've got all their marbles. They've got all of their plans in their spot A. They think it's the money, and they get there and there's too many people or there's no elk, and then they don't have a backup plan.
Yeah.
Or they have a half-baked plan.
Or they're willing to use those as excuses for why they failed before they go into the hunt.
Exactly.
They already have it figured out. There's going to be a lot of people. I'm hunting on a full moon. There's wolves in the area.
Man.
They've already got all the excuses so that when they do fail, they have a reason. And you can't do that. You have to go in confident that I'm going to succeed no matter what. I hunt public land.
Yeah,
I
me
hunt
too.
over the counter. I very rarely draw a tag. I mean, obviously you have to draw a general tag in Montana or in Wyoming, but those are the hunts I do. I hunt busy trailheads. I hunt in areas where there are wolves, but I don't accept those I accept those as a challenge, and I have to find a way to overcome that. They're never going to be an excuse. I'll share the reason. Yeah, it was a tough hunt. There were people, it was a full moon. I'll share all of those reasons, but they'll never be an excuse if I don't fill a tag.
No. And that's the thing is like, I get email after email about guys that like, man, plan A didn't work, so I just went home early. And I'm like, number one, no matter how bad the hunt is, never go home early. You're missing out on the chance of, you're missing out on experience days. Some of your best experiences come from your biggest failures, right?
When you're the tiredest, when
you kill a bull on day one, you didn't learn jack.
Yeah.
Now I'm not saying you were lucky, but you kind of were lucky.
Yeah.
The bull just worked and there he is, he's dead, and but you really didn't walk away. But when you slog for 20 days and get one encounter, think of the knowledge. So there's 2 ways to look at it, right? The glass is half full, the glass is empty, right? And if you could keep a positive mindset, but part of what I teach in my courses is like, guys, we have to control what we can control when it comes to elk hunting, because there's so many things we can't.
Yep.
Like you said, I mean, you're the best caller in the world, arguably. Well, not even arguably. Let's just say what it is. And elk still say no to you every now and then, right?
Oh,
I love the story you told about the guy that left a note on your car about calling too much.
Yeah.
And things like that. So even the best caller in the world gets turned down now and then.
Yep.
So you have to control the things you can. And what you can control is your plan and a strategy and your e-scouting, putting it all together, and your knowledge, getting as much knowledge as you can. So when you roll into the mountains, you're better equipped to handle all the things that come at you. But when you go in with, you say, I'm just going to go up there. I got 2 points on my phone and it's going to work
wander
out.
Around and stumble into something.
That's what average hunters do.
Yep.
All right. That's what the 6% does. And if you
that's what the people from 6%
and down. That's
do.
Right. You're right, Corey. You're right.
That's what brings everybody who works hard down to that average.
You're right. If you want to be that 6%, then just keep. I always said, if you want to be average, keep acting average, and you'll stay there.
You want extraordinary results? It's going to take extraordinary effort.
Yeah, it's good. I really enjoyed following your career, particularly. It's an honor to sit down with you, and I hope you enjoyed this show, folks. The Treeline Google Earth Pro Toolkits just got a major Montana update. For years, the toolkits have included a data layer for Montana block management properties, updated each season when the new information is released in August. The 2025 Montana block management areas are now live in the Google Earth Pro Toolkit. To access the Montana BMA properties, open the toolkit, open the Montana data set. Click once on the block management checkbox to load the data from the Treeline servers. Once the checkbox is checked, the block management properties are now visible in transparent blue with the boundaries in white. Map boxes, sign-in areas, and parking areas are now included in the dataset, as you can see. The access and game retrieval roads inside the BMAs are also now included. Click the arrow on the block management folder to expand the dataset. This allows you to turn on and off access points, parking spots, and all of the road data. If you click on an individual block management area, a pop-up window will appear with the BMA number, the BMA type, the region, the status, and finally a direct link to download the BMA PDF map. This is a great asset to access and print maps for any BMAs that might be included or available in your hunt areas. This is a powerful upgrade that makes e-scouting and hunt planning faster and far more effective. If you're a Western hunter and you're not leveraging the power of the Treeline toolkits, you're putting yourself at a real disadvantage. With a one-file install, Google Earth Pro is transformed into the ultimate Western hunt planning platform. Over a decade of research and development has gone into these toolkits. Whether you're just getting started or you've been hunting the West for decades, these tools will change the way you hunt. Welcome to Next Level Western Hunt Planning. Learn more at treelineacademy.net. After talking to Corey, one thing is crystal clear. The guys who find consistent success, they do the little things right over and over again. The countdown, it's over. It's time to stop talking and start hunting. The road to success, it's a narrow one that most hunters are not on. Trust your prep, trust your gut, and trust the grind. I'll see you next time. This is the PEAX Thrive Podcast, raw, real, built for Western hunters.